The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's Monday, the 13th of September, 2021. Welcome to the Daily Hour, brought to you by Medical House, One Communications, and Linda's. I'm Mikaela and with our guest host, Phil Trott, and Leanna Lambert will be with us in just a little bit later to bring us the latest in her news break. It's Monday. Welcome to the show, Phil. How was your weekend?
I am doing good. Thank you very much. I had a birthday over the weekend, and so, it was pretty good. Spent it with the fam, and here we go.
How you feeling about being on the show?
Hey, budget cuts everywhere. So this is what you get.
We're calling this on budget cuts.
I told Jamel I'll do it for a 6-pack of Heineken Zero. He said he'll give me 3 per show. I said you throw in a daily hour cup, and I'll do it.
Oh, geez, he gave you a mug.
Yeah. I ain't got the mug yet.
So like a theoretical mug then.
A theoretical mug. Yeah. This is what happens when you enter enough contests and you don't win. So, look, you just come on the show and I'll get a cup.
Oh my God. So you said you had a birthday. Was it a monumental birthday? Was it just, are we just happy to be alive?
It wasn't like a milestone birthday. It was like one of those random in between birthdays.
Okay.
So nothing special. I just spent it with the fam. Spent it my wife and my son went to get some dinner up the country.
Mm-hmm.
And
that was that.
Uneventful, man.
There we go. That sounds good. So my weekend was I'm trying to think, what did I even do? So I've been doing remote learning, right, with the kids. And so come like 2:00 on Friday, I was like, we're done. Like, this is enough. I'm done. It was just a lot, right? So like took them to get their hair cut because they needed it. I feel like we went out for dinner, but I can't remember, to be honest. Yes, we did. We went to Boundary out for dinner. And then Saturday ended up being like running errands, doing some things. I painted, like touch-up paint over the weekend.
Oh,
yesterday.
I thought you meant like art paint.
No, I don't do that. My creative side involves like cooking, not like doing art.
Okay, gotcha, man.
But yeah, went to brunch, just had a nice chill weekend, and I'm so happy that we are back here today. So good morning, everyone, and thank you for making us part of your daily routine. So we have another good one today where we are going to discuss we're going to have questions for you guys, our fabulous audience. The daily play is a Who Said It? So Phil is going to try to stump me with a celebrity quote. I don't know.
I think I have one. Jamel,
you think you got it?
I know you're famous for getting this one. But I think we got you on this one.
Okay, we'll see.
And if Jamel is watching, it's not the one that we discussed last night.
It's so funny because like I wanted to be like, so what's the daily play? So I could like, put it in my show notes, but nope. I just kind of laugh it.
Exactly.
All right, awesome. So audience, today's question: what do you think about Flora Duffy getting a national holiday? So on Friday, we saw on Twitter that the government announced that the 18th of October is going to be Flora Duffy Day. And I want to say this coincides with the end of the World Triathlon. What does the WTC stand for? Competition?
Sure, let's go with that.
Okay, that's what we'll say. So
you're gonna find that I don't know much about it.
I should probably pull it up on Twitter because I can't remember what the WTS. Yes, thank you, Lee. World Triathlon Series.
There
yes,
we go.
yes. So that is from the 15th to the 17th, and then Flora Duffy Day will be on the 18th. So a lot of us found out on Twitter. Lots of conversation going back and forth. I think she found out on Twitter too because she replied to the tweet and she said, wow, this is cool. So if government told her on Twitter, that's a little wild. But what are your thoughts? Let us know, audience. What do you think about Florida getting a national holiday? Phil, do you want to give us your thoughts first or do you want me to go?
So I think for me, just to put some context around it, I had some friends of mine that they live overseas. They were born and raised here. One was born here, but they were they live overseas, and they were like, just got my whole day like a holiday. Like that seems excessive. Da, 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 da. And I was trying to tell them like, people here are actually, behind it. Like it's not anything that I've seen that's really controversial. And they were going into like, well, they didn't do anything for Clarence Hill, and I'm like, I know they didn't, but it's not like two wrongs don't make a right type of thing. Also, as I was reminded over the weekend when I had the discussion with some people locally, that the precedence has been set by we had a Sean Go today.
Okay.
June, I want to say it was June 21st, 2000. I could be wrong with that date, but the conversation kind of eased up because they realized it was a one-off day and not an annual day. So
so people would be upset if it was an annual day then.
I think, well, those people would. I don't know. I think locally, I don't feel like we've had a big issue about it. Malay Robinson says, well deserved. She's been working forever for it and represented Bermuda proud. Let me see.
Absolutely.
Jackie's here. So Jackie says she deserved it. Shayna Smith says, let's make it annual. I don't know if we would make. I personally wouldn't do an annual one. I would say keep the annual ones for more historical figures, Mary Prince type of thing,
right? So here's my thoughts on it. Right, I was expecting this. I really feel like the government of the day did Clarence Hill wrong. Absolutely did him wrong. But that has nothing to do with Flora. And I think that we need to keep that top of mind. Flora did nothing to Clarence Hill. She wasn't alive. She wasn't even thought of. Then all of that went down in 1976. So I just feel like a Flora Duffy Day is the least that we can do. Right. This woman got gold. Like an island of our size should never even be in competition for gold. Like, let's be real.
And the dumbest comment I would say is that somebody said, well, it's just a gold medal. And I was like,
I'm sorry?
They only give those, you only get a chance to get one of those every 4 years. So
I just can't even, because when we talk about just a gold medal, they're not just handing those out.
They don't just give them out.
They don't just give them out.
Daily Hour mugs.
No, it's not like Daily Hour mugs. It's not, right? So it's like, A, they're not just giving them out. B, people train their entire lives to get to this, to this place. And how many people have gone in as the favorite, gold medal favorite, and they flopped? You know what I mean? So Flora went in. She had her mind right. She had her strategy right. She was fit. And homegirl got a gold. And people, this just gold. No. We need to have a Flora Duffy Day. I want a motorcade. I want everything. And I feel like government should also give her a piece of land or cash.
You know what? Two things I want to say before we get to some of the comments is one, it's not like, the other thing about her is that it's not like she's the best in the world at what she does, and it's not close.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So
Yes.
it's not like she just barely won. Like,
right.
we were waiting for a while for number 2.
I mean, she was lapping people.
You know, so that's the other thing. The only other thing I want to mention about Clarence Hill is that I personally, this is my personal opinion, I don't think we'll ever be able to do right by Clarence Hill, just because of what happened and for how long it took for us to get. I was thinking about it over the weekend. The only way that we can come close to doing right by him is by making sure that the story is told properly, and making sure that our students and children coming up know what happened and tell the honest truth about it. That's the only way that I think we'll be able to do it right.
I mean, the thing about the Clarence Hill is that is tricky is we can continue to say the government of the day was racist, etc. However, the PLP came into power in 1998 and could have corrected a major wrong. So that's all I have to say before we go to the audience comments.
All right, so we have Malcolm Rayner says, okay, I believe, I think that's true. We also had a Gina Stenson
Yes,
day.
I heard it was a half day though.
How you do that?
This is what I was told. It was a half day. I don't think it was a full day, but maybe some people who are a little bit more seasoned can let us know, because I obviously wasn't alive.
Terry says an Olympian day could be used for past, present, and future athletes could be celebrated. That's good. You could. What do you think about making them like recognizing them for like a National Heroes Day type of thing? Could that, because we do more than one person, don't we? Or we just do one person?
I think in previous years they've acknowledged 1 or 2 new ones per year, but I don't know.
Okay. Renee Sherilyn Simmons says, I think it's fantastic. She deserves it. I've heard of some requesting an annual holiday, but this one-time holiday is great. Jackie says, just a gold medal. Do you know how hard it is to even get to the Olympics as a spectator?
Exactly.
Terry says they're just handing out participation ribbons. Soundcat Play says, well deserved. And to be honest, how many of us would live to see this actually happen? That's a good point as well. I had all the feels when she touched the finish line. She deserves it. World and Olympic champion. Okay, so Angeline Butler says, yes, it was a half day for Gina Swainson.
This is the thing, like half day is outrageous. That's outrageous to me.
Angeline, can you? I don't remember when that was, but how do you?
I was not alive. I don't even understand. Like, so you let people have a half day to celebrate her winning Miss World, which is like huge.
I don't know how that works.
I don't know.
Faith says, morning, Faith. Flora has been at the top of her game for a while and continues to achieve top records. That's very true. Michelle Whites, the government said that Clarence will share. Okay, I didn't know this. Clarence will share in the celebrations. This is Flora's day and should be celebrated as such. She bust her buns to get this. Give her this and more. Sorry guys, it's the morning.
You got no coffee?
Let Clarence have his own acknowledgement, but sadly too little too late. And yes, tell the real story. Put both in National Stadium on a Heroes Wall. That would be nice. Okay, so Terry says we do 6 national heroes, I think, and there is a criteria to be considered. Okay. Jackie says half days don't make sense. We only work half days before the holiday.
Listen, it's just crazy to me that a half day, like, no. So I'm happy that this is a full day. And I know Bermudians are like, you lot just want a day off. You lot just want to drink. Yes, I want a day off. Yes, I want to drink. Yes, I want to celebrate Flora. Hello, I will happily open a bottle of champagne and toast to Flora. Yes.
Michelle White says, I think Gina's half day was for the parade. Okay.
We need full days.
Yeah, I still don't get it. Like how you stop. Anyway, so I guess that being said, like I don't see anything absolutely wrong, and being that we're talking about this, it kind of takes me back to like when the race was actually happening. So if I remember correctly, it was like they it was a little bit of buzz about, the race is coming up, Florida was in it, and we're like, okay, cool, whatever. But as the race started going on and she was getting in her groove and hitting the front of the pack, that's when I started really getting messages and seeing on on Twitter, like, watch Flora's race. And so by the time the race was actually, it was kind of a foregone conclusion, like she was gonna win this thing. And she still had like a good 10 minutes to go. Like, everybody was just up around the TV. I had my son, he wouldn't work, his one-year-old, he
worrying about it.
His blocks. I said, boy, come here. Watch this. This is history. I held him up and watched, pay attention. Don't worry about your teddy bear or whatever. You see what's happening? And so, like, I feel like everybody kind of got the same vibe around the race, and it was just like so much national pride around it that I don't think anybody here is actually really going to have an issue with her having her own day.
This is the thing. I really hope not. And like, I remember 4 years ago, well, it was 5 years ago now, 2016, in Rio. And I remember watching it in the America's Cup offices, and we were all sitting there like, come on, Flora, come on, and then we were just like, because, she didn't do as well as she thought because of the humidity, etc. Like, she was a favorite 4 years ago, right? So this time around, I just knew that she was going to get the gold. So I was just calm. I was cool. I was collected. I was like, she's got it. And then once it actually was, happening, I was like, oh, we're about to get a gold, like little Bermuda. And it's funny because one of my friends, she's Jamaican, but she lives in Florida. She messaged me and she was like, I'm so proud of Bermuda. You guys must be like so excited to get your first gold. And I was like, you have no idea. You have no idea,
hype,
But it was a vibe. So I'm here for this national holiday. Absolutely. You want to take a couple more comments before we bring you in?
Chica says, what happened to the gym that was to be built in Clarence Hill I think, was it a gym? Was it like a boxing?
It was supposed to be a boxing gym, and that was a PLP initiative that we have yet to see.
Where was it supposed to be?
I don't know. I just remember in the throne speech, it was very vague about there was going to be a gym built in Clarence Hill's honor.
That would still be nice.
I mean, they could still do that, but why announce that and nothing?
Yeah.
So maybe we can get Liana to look into that.
Yeah. Jackie says, can't drink all day if you don't start in the morning. This is why me and Jackie get along.
Listen.
Natalie Sheen says she really put Bermuda on the map. Lots did not even know where Bermuda was. Very true. We go through that all the time. Sam Cat places, my 9-year-old daughter was watching with me. We saw her in action when she raced in Bermuda and won. She's athletic and she was inspired. This is monumental for Bermuda. By the way, I don't think we talk enough about how she was attacking Corkscrew Hill.
How she was what?
How she was riding, because I had to ride up Corkscrew Hill on the bike.
Yeah.
Like,
that's wild,
up, man. And
I wasn't here for it, and I was so upset. I had a work trip that I had to go to.
We watched it on TV. She ate that. Like, that's where everybody lost her. Well, that's where she lost everybody.
Yeah. Wow.
Dexter says, "Oh, it was supposed to be St. George's, apparently." Okay.
What, the gym?
Yeah. Renee. Yeah. So it's supposed to be in St. George's.
Well, that'll be interesting. You want to do one or two more comments before you bring Lee in?
Jackie says, National Stadium has a space and will be a great addition to the complex. Okay. So yeah, let's bring Liana in on this. Let me see.
Yes, let's hear Liana's thoughts before she gives us the news.
Good morning, guys.
Hi, Lee. How are you?
I am wonderful, feeling rested. Like, I caught myself from the last month. Uncle Phil, welcome to the show.
Hey, man.
Just having a great time. You can see it, right?
Yeah, you guys are having fun. It's a natural.
Hey.
So tell us, what are your thoughts on Flora Duffy Day?
I love this celebration. Like, this is an accomplishment, like you guys said, and Jackie reiterated, this is gold. I don't know who is out there saying that gold is easy to accomplish. Like, I mean, I used to be an athlete, and if I had ever made it to the Olympics, I would actually want somebody to celebrate, had I made it that far. So no, kudos to Flora and all her achievements. And I feel like this is definitely something that, the whole island should rally behind, this Flora Day.
What was your sport, Lee?
I actually used to do triathlons many.
She said many
years ago. No, but I played a bunch of sports. I used to play tennis as well. So I was just well-rounded. But no, kudos to Flora. Like, she deserves this.
Absolutely.
Right. You want to take it away?
Sure. Thanks, Phil and Mikaela. Happy Monday to everyone. It is a beautiful day outside, and I hope everyone is having a great start to their day. I'm Leanna Lambert, and it's time for the Daily Hour News Break. So here's what happened over the weekend. Another 192 coronavirus cases were logged, pushing the total number of active infections to 613. Now, the number of patients in hospital went up to 28, an increase of 18 since last Tuesday, with 5 people in the intensive care. Now, this is the highest number of people in hospital since April 28th, when the last outbreak was beginning to wane. Now, the peak of that outbreak took place on April 16th, when there were 40 people in hospital and 8 in the ICU. Minister of Health Kim Wilson warned that if the virus continues to spread at the current rate, the consequences would be quote unquote dire, and warned that another lockdown could not be ruled out. Now, officials say that 24 of the new cases were classified as on-island transmissions, and 16 came in from overseas. In other news, public schools are to remain off limits until further notice after a surge in COVID-19 cases. The government pledged last week that schools would reopen to pupils at the start of the new term with minimal safety precautions. But with the increase in cases in the last week, including reports at outbreaks at some schools, it forced education authorities to backtrack. Now, the ministry said that this could continue at most schools for the foreseeable future. The Ministry of Education said that the Dame Marjorie Bean Hope Academy and Success Academy, both in Devonshire, were expected, however, to open their doors alongside the preschools. All the schools will operate on a remote basis in the meantime, and tests will be carried out between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. today. Meanwhile, industrial action by unionized workers today in protest at a new union decertification laws has been called off at the 11th hour. The BIU president, Chris Furbert, said that the purpose of opening up dialogue between the union and the government, the protest had been called off. BIU members were to down tools today as part of a long-running dispute with government over who could take part in workplace decertification votes. Now, Mr. Furbert declined to say if the union had started negotiations with the government, and he said that he did not want talks to proceed in the media spotlight, but he admitted that there had been communication between the two sides and that negotiations looked poised to start. And an oil spill exercise is expected to cause traffic problems in parts of St. George's this week. A government spokesperson said roads in the Whalebone Bay area of Ferry Reach would be closed to the public on Wednesday for the exercise. Now, the marine area would also be out of bounds for boats. The exercise was designed to test the island's ability to manage the environmental effects of an oil spill. So motorists on both land and sea in the East End are asked to avoid the area while the exercise is taking place. Taking a look at today's weather, we have a high near 85 and a low near 77 degrees. We will see sunny periods, but it will be hazy at times with a light chance of a shower. Now, a weak front continues to roam to our nearby south and may introduce a couple of showers in the area over the next few days. Otherwise, high pressure holds firm to provide mainly fine weather with mostly light winds. That's all for our daily hour news break. Let's head back to Phil and Mikaela in the studio for today's Daily Focus.
Thank you, Lee.
You're welcome. So Phil, you got, that was the first almost half hour down. You got another 30 minutes.
Listen, there's so much going on.
It's like looking at the script, like, okay.
Yeah, there's so much going on over here. I'm like,
I could see
you
like
notice
his
I left the
brow
question.
sweating
I left
right
the
here.
question up for like half the news segment.
Listen, I love this though because you get to see how this works and how it's not just
I'm like, why is Jamel looking all over
Here's some insight into how it takes place.
I gotta play. We gotta go to commercial.
Yes, we're about to take a break. So now we're gonna tell Leanna thank you. Tell her to have a beautiful day, and we'll be back after the break.
Here we go. Bye, Leanna.
Bye, Lee.
Let me make sure I get this right. Using sponsors around here.
We'll be
Perrier
right.
water has been renowned globally for over a century and a half. Collected from a pristine ancient mineral water spring in the south of France, originally bottled in a green pear-shaped bottle and distributed in Bermuda by John Barrett & Son Limited, Bermuda's foremost beverage distributor, refreshing Perrier water is the champagne of mineral waters. This month we're featuring a refreshing, delicious spin on the original. Peach, strawberry, watermelon, l'orange, pink grapefruit, lime, cucumber, and regular Perrier water in 500 milliliter plastic bottles. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
Mom's celebrating her 70th birthday next month. Have you noticed her age is catching up with her?
Yeah. Plus, she's having a hard time getting up and around like she's used to. I would sure hate to see her fall.
At Medical House Limited, we can help make life situations easier. We have electric beds, motorized scooters, bath stools, walkers, you name it.
Mom's been real good to us. We'll get her birthday and Christmas gifts from Medical House.
Medical House has relocated next to the Dandytown Field, number 6 Bakery Lane, Pembroke. Telephone 292-3622.
All right, welcome back to the big show. I'm Mikaela and he's Phil Trott. It is the Daily Hour brought to you by Medical House, One Communications, and Lindo's. So you guys know every Monday, instead of having a guest, we have a conversation. So today we wanted to talk a little bit about 9/11. So over the weekend, of course, on Saturday, it was the 20th anniversary of 9/11 and the attacks on the World Trade Center in New York. So we want to know from the audience, what were you doing? What do you remember from 9/11? You want to go first, Phil?
Yeah. So for those that may not know, 9/11 is actually my birthday.
Yes.
And so here we go, because you can tell by the grades, it was a while ago. I was actually in my last year of university. I went to the University of Miami. Mm-hmm. And I had an apartment. I had an on-campus apartment with two of my very close friends. I still talk to them today. I woke up and our routine was, just wake up and we just watch Sports Center right on ESPN. So I go, as you wake up on your birthday, it's all about me today.
Yes,
go
of course.
Sit down and there's no sports coverage, and they're just showing the World Trade Center on fire. The first one, the first tower that got hit. Mm-hmm. So I'm sitting on, I'm watching this. Okay, I'm thinking, I wonder how the firefighters put out a fire like this. So I'm, we're watching, and then the next one, and that's when we were all like, "Ooh, yeah, this is different." And they just went downhill from there, man. I will say that I do want to put a plug in for my college friends that they actually realized that it was still my birthday and went out and got me a cake, mm-hmm. and pooled their money together and bought me a PlayStation 2.
It's very nice.
I thought it was very nice
to kind of take your mind off of things, right?
Yeah, but it didn't.
Of course not.
Yeah, it was rough.
Of course not. So I was in high school. So I went to an academy in Massachusetts. I went to an academy in Massachusetts. And I never forget that day. I was in history class. My teacher is a man named Mr. Cabrera. He's amazing. We love Mr. Cabrera. So we were in history class and we were doing the thing. And then all I remember is the TV being turned on and everyone just started to get a bit frantic. And I remember seeing the first tower on fire and we were all like, oh my goodness, a plane crashed into the tower. What kind of crazy accident was this? Oh my goodness. And so we're just watching and everyone's like freaking out. And of course, this is a Christian school. So of course it's like, pray, we're going to pray, we're going to pray. And then the next one hit. And that's when we were like, obviously this is not an accident, but everyone like started to freak out. And so I remember they made everyone, because on the lower level of the school, we had like an assembly room that we used for like worship and assemblies and stuff. So everyone went downstairs into the worship room. And I remember the principal, I was in my sophomore year of high school. Yeah, I was 15. What was I? Yeah, 15. I was in my sophomore year. And so I remember us all going downstairs to this assembly room and the principal telling us what happened, etc. And then I remember things going hysterical when we realized that 2 of the planes came out of Logan Airport. So obviously we're in Massachusetts, Logan Airport is in Boston. So 2 of the flights came out of them. And then things went worse because one of my colleagues, not one of my colleagues, one of my classmates, her cousin was a flight attendant for one of the airlines and she's like freaking out. Come to find out the cousin was supposed to work one of those flights and had called in sick. Yes. So she was hysterical. It was a mess. And then another one of my classmates, his aunt worked in the World Trade Center. So he was freaking out. Come to find out she had a dentist appointment at 8 a.m. that morning, didn't actually go to work that day. So it was just hysterical. And I think once everyone realized that this was like a terrorist attack, we were locked in the building. We weren't allowed to leave. Like
remember there were those other flights. There was the
exactly.
And then there was that one where the passengers
regained control. Right. So it was like, it was wild. And I think probably for us, our experience was probably a little bit different because 2 of the planes had come out of Massachusetts. So everybody was just like absolutely, completely freaking out. But I don't remember anything beyond that. I just remember it just being like, oh my goodness, you know how from a Seventh-day Adventist Christian point of view, it's, signs of the time, the world is going to end, all of that. And so that's kind of what the mood was. So it was a bit wild.
Yeah. I think, by the way, just want to mention that the, how we had that ceremony, that memorial over the weekend to commemorate the people that we lost, and so I think that was very fitting. I think that's something that obviously we need to continue to do.
Yes, because there were 2 Bermudians who died. Rondell Tankard, Boyce Gatton, and then there was a student who went to Saltus.
Yeah.
As well. I can't remember his name off the top of my head.
Yeah, me either. That's actually my wife's cousin, Rondell Tankard. So it's rough, man. Some comments. Let's go to the comments.
Yes, let's go to the comments.
Sheikah Reyna says, it was my first week off from work that entire summer. I was about to run an errand around 8 a.m. when a friend called to tell me what was going on. I was in front of the TV until noon. Like, yep. Same thing for me. Like there's no classes that day. Everybody just watched TV all day.
Yeah, man. That was us. And that was, this was 2001. That was before everyone had smartphones. That was before, there were flat screen TVs. So I feel like we were all just watching this TV. We had TVs in our classroom, but they weren't like smart TVs. We had internet, but it wasn't, so it was just a completely different time.
Yeah.
And even when you look back at the photos from it, it's just completely different time, right?
Yeah, man. David Michael Wilson says, I was rushing to an English literature class that I couldn't afford to miss. I know how that goes. Karen Edwards Simmons says, my husband and I were in Boston at Children's Hospital with our daughter. The daughter's doctor lost both his sons. Wow. One worked in the first tower and the other son was on the plane. Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's rough. Renee Sherilyn Simmons says, I was at work and I heard a chair tumble over in the business analyst office. A business report is usually on TV. So I went in and he was on the floor, but the TV had the tower on fire. Then the second one hit. I saw that and screamed. We will never forget that day. Yep. I don't think a lot of us are going to forget that day. Soundcat Play says, I will never forget. I was in my dorm room across the street looking up at people trying to get out of the tower. At some point, our college advisor rounded us up and we left the building and ran towards Upper Manhattan for the track to the Queens campus. Okay.
Let us know if anyone else in the audience was actually in New York when this happened, because I know that there were some different stories. I saw a bunch of posts on Facebook where people were talking about where they were and how they were, working in New York or living in New York and that sort of thing.
Kathy Brumby says, I was at work and went to the mail room to send a FedEx pack to the client. TV was on and everyone was glued to the TV. I couldn't move watching the collapse of the World Trade Center. Very sad day. Dexter Smith says 9/11 was starting my first ever 12:30 p.m. shift at the Times. There was a TV directly over me, but the volume was always on mute. After a few minutes, I noticed people hovering behind me, and then the volume was turned up. Spellbound, we watched, saw the second plane, but thought it was a helicopter. It went out of view, and then came back minutes later and crashed into the South Tower. Classmate Boyd Gatton, class of 69. There we go. 69 assaulters.
Robert Higley, yes.
Second, latterly assaulters, and Rondell Tankard of Work Academy. Yeah, man. Kivani Hayes says, I was sitting in my accounting class in Atlanta. We were all waiting for our professor. She came a few minutes late to tell us what was on TV, and that class was canceled.
Yeah.
John says, I had traveled to Canada with my then 3-month-old son and got stuck there for an additional week because all flights were grounded. Yep.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like I was flicking through Instagram yesterday and a friend of mine put up something on his stories, and it was like a broadcast that went out to all pilots at the time. And I really should have screenshotted it, but it was just, the whole thing was, imagine if you had received this broadcast while you were in the air. Like, imagine. I'm gonna try to find it, but it was just.
Were they told to find the closest runway, or were they told? I can't remember. They were told to.
It was basically that airspace had closed.
That's
the story's going. Yeah, airspace in the New York area had closed, but it was just so chilling because I can't even imagine. And then think about like a flight attendant. Flight attendants still had to be calm, cool, and collected when making announcements over the system, And so when you think of that, you think of, I have to be calm, cool, and collected so that the passengers can try to stay calm, even though I know I'm going to die.
Yeah, that's crazy, man.
That's what to me is just like wild.
You know what else happened was, I don't know if you remember, but there was the anthrax attacks right after that. And so I was in Florida, and I remember one of those attacks had happened like close to my area. So people were getting anthrax in the mail basically, and you open the package and anthrax and it could kill you, whatever. So that was another one that people were being worried about. And also when they found out that some of the terrorists that had hijacked the plane, they had trained at one of the schools in Florida where I had actually went to high school close by and got I got a pilot's like my solo license at that same school. I think it was Florida Institute of Technology. So it was like all these little connecting little things. It was just freaking everybody out. Sheikah Rayner says AOL chat was lit up. Wow, AOL chat.
That's taking us way back.
I was chatting with one friend in DC who said there were tanks driving on her street. Another friend at Virginia Beach couldn't reach her dad at the Pentagon. Yep. James Burgess says I was working on the dock staff hall, could not move because of what I was looking at. And Nikki says, Nikki, you're supposed to be busy. It's your husband's birthday yesterday. I was working in New York City at the time. It was the most beautiful September morning, and my dad dropped me off on 50th and 11th around 8:40 a.m. before he went to Brooklyn to help for Election Day. While traveling down the West Side Highway, he saw the first plane go in and would eventually see the second one as well. He knew to quickly turn around to come back to my office and take my sister-in-law and I home. And you know what I was wondering? I saw on social media yesterday two things. The first one, actually, I think this might have been on the trailer for the documentary that I think Netflix. But I forgot that it was the home run race that summer between Barry Bonds and McGuire. What's his first name? Anyway, I forgot.
I can't remember.
That was actually a really big deal, and like the 9/11 stuff just kind of wiped that out.
Yeah, I have no recollection of that.
And remember, a lot went on that year. Aaliyah died that year as well.
Yes.
I can't remember if it was before or after. But that was a crazy year, man.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I have no recollection of any of those things, you know? Like, I remember that day. I remember, you know, I was 15. I was turning 16 that year. But yeah, and it's wild because, like, speaking of Netflix, last weekend I watched a new movie on Netflix called Worth.
Oh, I want to see that.
It stars Michael Keaton, and he plays the lawyer who was the special master of a commission that decided how much money the victims would get, like basically how much their life was worth, which was like wild.
I haven't watched it yet.
It's excellent.
Okay, it looks
excellent. Good. Like, I was drawn in the entire time because they had like this whole equation that would help you get worth. Because, you know, if you were unmarried, had no children, your life was worth less than someone who was married with children.
And I remember the trailer was one of it had a guy was like his gay partner or something.
Yes, I was just about to say that. So like back then, gay marriage was not recognized. So if you were gay and you had a partner that you lived with, or, you know, that was essentially your spouse, your parents got the money, not your partner, which is crazy.
It's crazy, man.
So it was just.
Let's do some more comments.
Yes.
Nikki says, let me see what Nikki says. We couldn't leave for a few hours as everything was at a standstill. And after that, too is hours. Let me see. Too many hours to drive home going in the direction of upstate, passing people that were covered in soot the entire time. I remember watching those pictures too, man.
Yeah, that's the crazy part. I was just like, wow. What just
Dexter says, correction, class of 79.
I thought 69 was a bit early. I was like, I don't think they're that old.
The wife who has a habit of changing plans without notifying us was supposed to be in Washington at a conference. Unbeknownst to me, she decided to visit a friend in Buffalo. She was on a bus through NYC when the towers came down and the scene became apocalyptic. A terrible 24 hours or more because phone lines were down for at least 24 hours. You know, she got a good Bermudian mouthful in the end. Oh, right. Okay. And he sorted me out. Barry Bonds and Mark McGuire.
Mark McGuire. Yes.
Both on steroids.
Yeah, I didn't watch baseball. I was a basketball fiend back then.
Yeah.
So
I wasn't really, I mean, I was in watching baseball. I was in the States, but it was actually like a big deal. But, you know, like you said, like a lot of stuff crazy. 2001 was wild. Terry says, I was actually supposed to travel from ATL back to Bermuda on 9/11. I legit thought it was a movie when they kept replaying it. Yep.
Crazy.
Sam Cat Place says, my stepdad was in Upper Manhattan and my sister was interning near the Pentagon. My poor mom was watching all of this on TV here in Bermuda, feeling helpless while her two daughters and partner were near all of the commotion front and center.
Yeah, it's just, I don't think any of us will ever forget that day. And you know what it is? So I don't know how you were, but I remember from when it turned from 1999 to 2000, right? And so that was like when the world was supposed to end,
Yep.
right? And so everybody was like trying to stockpile things. And I remember being like, oh my goodness, how old was I then? I was like 13. And I was like, oh my goodness.
Really old, man.
You're only 6 years older than me. Like, it's not even a lot. Like, it's not even a decade. Like, it's just a little bit. But I was 13.
About putting filters on this camera. So
no, but seriously, I was 13 and I remember being like, oh my goodness, is my life going to end at 13? This is wild. And so less than 2 years later, we had the 9/11 attacks. And it was just, I mean, for it to be 20 years later, it doesn't feel like 20 years have passed, but obviously it has because I'm 35 now. But just completely wild, completely unfathomable. And my heart just goes out to the people who are still, I mean, there are so many people who never got that closure because they were never able to, retrieve a body or never able, I mean, in the movie Worth, and I highly recommend if it's not going to trigger you to watch Worth, because it was excellent. I mean, there was a woman who was talking in there about, and it's all based on true events, right? So there's a woman who was talking about how her husband had called her while he was stuck. Apparently an elevator was full. He said he would wait for the next one with the women that were left behind. Of course, another elevator never came. And so she's on the phone talking with him and they're talking until he's like, I can't talk anymore because I can't breathe. And then they hear an announcement and they're like, please evacuate, please evacuate. And he's laughing manically because he's like, if I could evacuate, I would evacuate. You know what I mean? And just a heartbreaking story of a woman who's literally on the phone with her husband until he can't talk anymore because he can't breathe anymore. And just, those stories, it's just.
There were also similar stories with people on the plane, trying to call, the loved ones as well. You know what I want to say though, in a sort of try to bring this to a more lighthearted angle, if that's at all possible. I saw on social media a video of people on top of the tower before 9/11, right?
Yeah.
So when everything was cool, and it's just two people on top of the tower dancing. So it must like a helicopter must have gone up, and I'm like. Watching the video, like I'm getting
that's a little wild
heights. I'm like, you guys realize where you are, but it actually is interesting because it shows you how tiny, how massive that building was because the people were like tiny. But a helicopter must have gone up and was shooting. That's where the camera angle was. So they were shooting around these people that were just, I don't know if they were dancing or practicing kung fu fighting. They were doing something
wild.
But it just showed like. The comments were all talking about how much we used to love those buildings.
Absolutely. I went up in the World Trade Center, I want to say, 2000. Yeah, I want to say 2000. It was a class trip, I think. And on the way back impromptu, we were like, we'll just stop in New York. My Bible teacher at the time, Mr. Kretschmar, was like amazing. And we were driving back from Washington, D.C., and we just stopped in New York and we went up and it was just amazing. And I mean, never in my life thought that my first time would be my last time, right?
Kathy Rogers says, I went to Ground Zero a few years ago and it was an emotional experience, totally unexpected, the emotional impact. I actually went to Ground Zero in 2005, I want to say, or 2006. And as busy as New York is, you know how New York is, like it's loud. When you got to the space, it's just eerily quiet. I actually really wanted, one of my things I wanted to do was to go to the World Trade Center, before that. But
I need to go to Ground Zero. So I was in that area in 2006 when America's Cup was in New York. And I just, because everything was so hectic with America's Cup, I just didn't have the capacity to go and be somber and emotional. So I purposefully just didn't go. But I definitely want to go because it's been a long time now. And I feel like, I should go.
It was rough for me for like, I want to say a good 5 years after that, because every year was my birthday and every year is the anniversary
Right.
of 9/11. So it's just like,
Mommy, there's someone you need to
Yeah, that's the thing. And like one of my good friends, her birthday is 9/11 as well. A couple other people are 9/11. So
everybody say hi.
Yeah, he's just trying to sneak in there. The boys are having like a
moment.
They're having a lot of moments, it seems, in the background there. Do you want to take a couple more comments before we take
Michelle White says, I heard a story about one of the companies inside the tower whose reps created a foundation to pay for college education for all their children of the company, even those that were born just after. The youngest is in university now. Then the foundation will cease. They wanted to let their families know that we'll not forget. That's awesome.
Oh, that's beautiful. That just gave me chills. Wow.
All right, you wanna what's next on this?
You wanna read two more comments and then we can read
a couple more comments.
Couple more and then we'll take our break.
Let me see. I was gonna save these to the end, but I love the audience here. That's so understanding. Laverne Kelly says, "Breathe, mommy, we understand."
Listen, I'm trying. I'm trying. It is just like I have a 4-year-old who is like, he's his mother's child. He goes from 0 to 100 like that. And so I just sit here and I'm just like, okay, I have to calm down because he's me. He is me. And he don't like to listen to nobody. So I'm just like, all right.
Carla Jones says, Mikaela did the mama snap. Oh, man. All right. Let's, one more. Let's do this one. So Karen Edwards Simmons says, I went to Ground Zero, but it is extremely emotional for me as Rondell Tankard was in my class at primary school. And she played the piano at our wedding. Oh, man. All right. Sam Cat plays Mikaela. I will be right there with you today. You got this, mommy. Shout out to everybody.
Listen.
Who is dealing with remote learning today.
I'm trying my best. That's all I can do, right?
Yep. Let's take it to another commercial break.
Yes, sir.
Perrier water has been renowned globally for over a century and a half. Collected from a pristine ancient mineral water spring in the south of France, originally bottled in a green pear-shaped bottle and distributed in Bermuda by John Barrett & Son Limited, Bermuda's foremost beverage distributor, refreshing Perrier water is the champagne of mineral waters. This month we're featuring a refreshing, delicious spin on the original. Peach, strawberry, watermelon, l'orange, pink grapefruit, lime, cucumber, and regular Perrier water in 500 milliliter plastic bottles. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
Mom's celebrating her 70th birthday next month. Have you noticed her age is catching up with her?
Yeah. Plus, she's having a hard time getting up and around like she's used to. I would sure hate to see her fall.
At Medical House Limited, we can help make life situations easier. We have electric beds, motorized scooters, bath stools, walkers, you name it.
Mom's been real good to us. We'll get her birthday and Christmas gifts from Medical House.
Medical House has relocated next to the Dendy Town Field. Number 6 Bakery Lane, Pembroke. Telephone 292-3622.
I have my three children, a 27-year-old and an 11-year-old and a 5-year-old. I have to balance it out. I actually even stopped working Monday to Wednesday just so that I can put in time for the products and I put in time for my family. Because for me, my family comes first over anything. You know I have to run my business so that we can eat and everything, but my children come first. I let them even play a role when I'm making my products. Come on, get up. You can come help me mix it. Come help me put the label on it. So when we talk about inspiring your daughter or your children, I make my children get up there and see what it takes to run a business. Come on, Surrey. This brand, Surrey Shea & Co, is named after you. So you need to help me. You're gonna come, you can do this, put the labels on for me. You can do it. Even my little 4-year-old, I had him do it. Mommy, let me help. So I just let them help, and it teaches them the way.
All right. So now it is time for the Daily Play, brought to you by Heineken 0.0. Great taste, no alcohol. Phil, you ready?
Okay.
Like, you're supposed to ask me if I'm ready, but I'm asking you if you're ready.
I'm ready.
You're ready to try stump me?
Yes, and I if you get this one, I will be very impressed. All right.
Okay,
so,
go ahead.
I will give you a hint first. It has nothing to do with 9/11.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
I spent a lot of my younger years not feeling beautiful. When I look back at my pictures now as a kid, I'm like, damn, you were actually beautiful. I couldn't see it back then. That's a large thing that makes me go back to working with the youth in my community. I let them know they're beautiful.
Michelle Obama.
No.
Really?
It's not a woman.
Is it Michael K. Williams?
Whoa.
I had recently heard that quote and I couldn't remember who said it. And as soon as you said it wasn't a woman, boom, I knew. You're impressed, right?
Whoa.
You better give me some applause.
No,
you better give me a little something.
I have. Where's the applause button on? I don't know. You owe an applause. That's very impressive, man. And I was like, I'm thinking like she might get it because she knows. I'm figuring like your own pop culture, whatever.
I'm on pop culture.
So I'm like, she might get this, but I don't think she's gonna get this. That's very impressive. As
soon as you said it wasn't a woman, it was just like, boom, yes, because I do remember reading something that he wrote or something, and that was in it. Okay. And I just remember thinking how beautiful that was, because as men don't really talk about being beautiful. Men don't. You always hear from men, oh, that's girly to say things like that, when in reality, it's not. So I thought that was just such a beautiful quote.
That's impressive.
Why?
Nobody else, a lot of people, I couldn't believe she got that either.
Listen, y'all love to underestimate me. Any thoughts on today's show before we do the daily inspiration?
I'm just glad we got through it because it's a lot. I'm doing a lot over here. I'm glad you took over as the host. I'm sure your back hurt from carrying the show.
Nah, you did a great
Shayna
job.
Says Mikaela's concentration has been impressive.
Listen, I'm glad you all see this and appreciate this because Lord Jesus, I am really just like, breathe. Like I had a whole conversation with my boys before. I was like, listen, this is what I need from you this morning. Obviously that went way left because Javi, the youngest one, likes to provoke Amari, the oldest one. And so, he's just that like nagging little brother that thinks he can do whatever he wants. So
we'll have a family meeting after this.
We're going to have a whole meeting, when this is done.
All right. So daily inspiration is you?
I got some daily inspiration. You ready?
Yeah.
And then I'll tell you my thoughts on the show.
All right.
All right. This is from Mahatma Gandhi. You must be the change you wish to see in the world. And I love today's conversation. I love talking about Flora because for whatever reason, there are people who feel like she should not get her due. And that infuriates me because like we said in our chat, there was not like she was out here playing ping pong. It's not like she was doing archery. Like sis did the triathlon. Sis did 3 events in one. Well, I shouldn't call her sis, but you know what I mean. She did 3 events in one and got gold, and not just like barely got gold. Like she smashed it. She killed it. And it's like, let's give her her due. I love that. And then I love the 9/11 conversation because it just takes us back, and it's just important for us to never forget, important for us to always remember all the people who were impacted by that horrible tragedy.
Yeah, man. I was worried about the 9/11 conversation because I thought it might get a little heavy, but I think it was good to give people the opportunity to sort of talk about it, And I think the important thing now is that like 20 years later, we're all still sort of healing from it.
Absolutely.
So, it's good to give everybody an opportunity.
Absolutely.
So,
and I mean, that's something that I will tell, like my kids have no record. They don't know anything about it. you know, my grandkid, you know, but having those conversations of here's where I was and all of that. So yeah, Phil, you did great. You did great. I'm looking forward to tomorrow. So thanks again to our partners at Medical House, One Communications, and Linda's for ensuring that we are able to do this with you on a daily basis. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us a part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back here to do this again with you tomorrow. Phil too, not just me, Phil too. He's Philip Trott. He's Philip Trott. I'm Mikaela and make it a great day.
Bye, Javi.
And that's Javi. Deuces, guys.